Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mobile Suit Roundtable. I am Ironcaster, your host, and with me is, of course, Mr. Brightest Day.
Reporting for duty, sir.
And Fenrir the Ice Wolf. How's it going, buddy?
Rookie Fenrir reporting for duty.
Hey, I like that attitude. So, we watched some more Gundam, did we?
Yes, we did.
That's right. We are on episode 2 of Mobile Suit Gundam 0079. The granddaddy of mechas.
The granddaddy of the real mecha genre.
Okay, granted. We're not going to count Astro Boy, I suppose.
Yeah, a lot of genres of mechas around. Most anime franchises base themselves around Gundam now. Now they've done some research. A lot of them based around Gundam, honestly.
Yep. Gundam was the transition series between the giant super robot genre and what's now again known as the real mecha genre.
Yep. You make yourself the king, and everyone wants to copy you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so for those of you who are unfamiliar with how this format works, we will go over the episode via a script that I will read scene by scene. After a few paragraphs, I will pause, and we will have open discussion between the panel, and we will field questions and comments from the chat. Are you ready to begin?
Yep.
Let's go.
Space.
Okay, episode 2. Destroy Gundam. The episode opens with the Federation fending off the attack from Char's cruiser, while civilians and military personnel alike scramble to board the White Base. As Fraubo helps load children and elderly onto a transport, a nearby blast sends debris flying their way, which is intercepted by the armored hand of the Gundam. It is soon after that we are shown the captain of the White Base wounded by shrapnel, as the defense turret he mans is blown apart. The last of the scout team's Zaku's is shown boarding the cruiser, its pilot then debriefed by Char Aznable, who expresses disbelief at the capabilities of the Gundam, before having his subordinate establish contact with Vice Admiral Dozel of Zeon Fleet Command. And here we will take our first break.
Yep. So as we can see, it's clearly not just some ragtag operation. It's a full-on, military hierarchy to it. It's a pretty serious moment.
It's like an empire. Like Tsar himself is like the euphemism of something. I mean, a guy with the helmet in space leading the forces of evil, darkness.
So as I believe it was Jack that clarified last week, Char is a commander. He's not a top-level admiral in the fleet, but he has command over some subordinates. And he does have his own motivations, but his primary claim to fame is being the ace pilot of a Zaku. We'll cover it later, but we'll say it now because it comes up. His nickname is the Red Comet, hence the red appeal of his outfit. And it speaks to his abilities as far as speed and maneuverability.
There's a comic series that's a comedy parody where in that they play on this so much where the character of Char wants everything painted red that he pilots. So it's a big part of his character.
It's not inaccurate.
Hey, send me a link to that.
I'll have to do that.
So yeah, you'll see throughout the series that any suit that he pilots has a custom red motif to it. It's actually red and pink, but we'll just call it red. So did you have any questions, Fenrir?
Nope. I think I got everything I need. Let's just go.
Okay. Continuing on. Aboard the colony, Fraubo is conscripted to perform triage work on the wounded from the attack. It is now that we learn through Bright Noah that nearly all military personnel and engineers on Side 7 have been lost to the Zeon attack, with only 10 combat-ready men remaining. We learn that the components to the two other assets of Operation V, the gun cannon and the gun tank, are being recovered by Amuro. The wounded commander orders Bright to move White Base out of Side 7 using the onboard computer, before a young girl named Mirai offers her limited piloting experience. I'll take another small break here, and I will issue, again, I'll credit check with this clarification. It's not explicitly shown in Episode 1, but there are multiple copies of Gun Cannon and Gun Tank on Side 7. The ones that we see being attacked in the previous episode were, in fact, destroyed. these are separate examples that were somewhere else on the colony.
Yeah, I believe there was about 5 in total that had been originally intended, and we saw 2 of those destroyed.
Right. And in various side stories, there are other Gundam models that are just expanded upon later. But as far as 0079 goes, there is only one Gundam.
Yep. Yeah, so it's important to kind of get to know some of these characters. Like Mirai here is a young woman who has
Just
some...
a question I have here.
Mm-hmm.
What's up?
I just have a question. Couldn't anyone, and I'm just saying here, get the schematics for the Gundam, send it to someone a secure location, and while this Gundam keeps on the mission, couldn't someone replicate it from far? Actually, try to enhance their numbers.
My answer to that is hold tight.
They could, but the problem is right now they're quite literally under attack with the blueprints with the experimental suit.
Yes, that is literally the process of what is going on. They are trying to escape the danger they are in to do exactly that.
Okay.
Yep. So Mirai here comes from a higher family, so she's kind of better, we'll say.
Yeah, she's of a higher class, and she literally tells the commander that she she tells Bright that she has some like commercial flight experience that is applicable to the size and class of the ship that they're now on. Because originally, the wounded commander wanted them to use the onboard computer to just automated flight out of the colony, but with a human pilot, it is at least my assumption that you would have better maneuverability and reaction, whereas the computer can probably only make basic maneuvers.
Yep, you can better react, better respond than just the autopilot.
Mm-hmm. Anything else? Okay, continuing on.
All right.
Char and Admiral Dozel discuss the findings of the scout team. Dozel promises Char a resupply of his ship, while ordering him to capture the Gundam. We then see Char and 3 soldiers exiting the ship in only their pressurized spacesuits. Meanwhile, aboard the White Base, the wounded commander instructs Bright on how to communicate with the Gundam via the White Base, and they both then realize that young Amuro is the pilot. We then catch our first glimpse of an assembled gun tank unit. Back in the colony proper, we see Fraubo and a woman we will now identify as Sayla encountering an escaping civilian, who we will hear and identify as Kai, as they begin the search for any other survivors. Another small pause here. And Ironcaster captures one of the most important screenshots of the episode. This is the second slap of the series. Yes. It becomes a recurring theme.
Seriously?
Oh, yeah.
People get slapped a lot in this.
Yes. A lot.
They get slapped and then they get made manlier for it.
It gets worse
Doesn't
in later
the joke
series.
kind of get old?
No.
Oh, no.
Apparently not 40 years after its release. So Kai is an important character. He will become one of the more important military assets in later parts of the show. I won't spoil it because we'll get there. But here he's shown being basically a coward. He says, he hid until it was as safe as possible, and then he made his way from whatever shelter he was in to the hangar. So he kind of waited until the last minute. And Sayla kind of admonishes him and slaps him upside the head. Be like, people are dying. We needed your help. You could have been here. So on and so forth. So it's a real contrast of character between the two.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, one is brave, the other is a pussy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't feel forced either, even with the woman being the brave one.
Yeah.
In fact,
I mean, just imagine if this was in a modern movie done by Hollywood.
Well, you don't have to imagine because that's coming.
Yep, straight to Netflix. Yeah, it's like these 2 characters, Mirai and Sayla, are quickly running out to go and try and find more survivors.
It's actually Frau and Sayla. Here, I stole both the ship.
They're all blending together on me.
Yeah. The blonde, the brunette, and the redhead. Okay. Any other questions?
A blonde, a brunette, and a redhead go into a bar.
They walk into a bar, Zam.
Oh, that'll make sense later. Okay. Moving on. Back in orbit outside the colony, Char and his team signal the cruiser, who begins an attack using her energy weapons to disable the colony and allow Char and his team to infiltrate. The commander orders Bright to issue Amuro a beam rifle so that he can destroy the rest of the materials relating to Operation V on Side 7. As Frau and Sayla continue to look for survivors, Sayla comes across Char, crawling over the wreckage of the destroyed examples of gun cannon and gun tank. She holds him at gunpoint, but is disarmed by Char, as the face he reveals when he removes his helmet catches her off guard. Hail Nerdporeal Lifeform.
Yes.
He's a man after my own heart.
Blondie.
Yes. So here he's trying to perform reconnaissance and gather information on the mobile suits and eventually White Base.
That's not this episode, I'm afraid.
No. Two slaps have happened. That is not one of them.
We at least got Kai getting slapped.
Okay, so this is important, and we're going to get right into this now, where it's not outright admitted to, but it's revealed that Char is Sayla's brother, and the two are related. So Sayla is actually a member of a Zeon family.
Let me guess. Someone killed their parents, and one is looking for revenge.
It might be. We have to keep watching the show to find out more.
Revenge is definitely a plot. I don't remember if that's particularly the reason.
Space juice.
And Nerdporeal, sounds like it's a good time for you to catch up with the rest of us.
Yep, we're only 2 episodes in.
It's 40 minutes worth of TV. I think you can catch up.
And hey, there's always room for one more on the panel. It'd be fun to talk some more.
We'll have to find someone that's an actual subject matter expert. Okay, you have any other questions?
Nope.
No, I think that's about it here.
Okay, I gotta wait on that delay for him. All right, so Amuro arrives in the Gundam, and Char escapes. We hear Sayla question to herself whether the man in front of her was her brother, before Amuro scoops her up and uses his beam rifle and super napalm to destroy the wreckages. Char manages to slip inside the port, and White Base scrambles to stop him from gathering intelligence. A lucky shot by Bright destroys his reconnaissance camera.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy just how much gunfire he's under here.
Yes, and he's only in a pressurized spacesuit with a jetpack. So this is our first real example of his spatial awareness and piloting maneuverability. And then we see the camera. And then the last line before we take our actual pause. Defeated, Char makes his escape from the colony. Amuro takes aim with the Gundam's beam rifle at Char and his scout team, but hesitates to pull the trigger. When he eventually does, his shots miss wildly. Hail Agent Decibel.
Hello, my friend.
For anyone in the chat, if you would be so kind as to share out the link, like, and subscribe if you have not done so already. Help our friend Ironcaster get over 100 subs.
Yep. I made sure to put your guys' links in the description below, so anyone out there who's not subscribed to these fine gentlemen, it's in the description, and I can get it put into the chat as well.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, so here we get our first real example of just how green a lot of the crewmates are, especially Amuro, where he has not quite a target lock, but he has enemy soldiers in his sights, and he hesitates to pull the trigger. And because he does that, they are able to get far enough away that they're small enough and not moving, and he just misses wildly. And then we see actually confirmation that Char's rank is lieutenant commander, which is why I was confused about lieutenant. Again, disclaimer, none of us is actually a subject matter expert on Gundam. We will do that in Corporeal.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's going to be a good one.
Do you have any questions, Fenrir?
Nope, I'm good.
You really get to see just how green he is. He's very nervous. He's very much afraid of the idea of having to fight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You see just before
Yeah,
this. And you can't...
it's a good.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's good to see scenes of a character who's just been put in a situation like a war, for example, being green, having hesitation, like killing, destroying, especially if said character did not do these things before said thing. Because anyone would be hesitant to do this.
Well, he did actually. He had racked up a couple of kills already, but he admits in this scene that he's still thinking about the pilots inside the suits.
Yeah, the first times it was probably just by instinct. He wanted to survive. 'Cause let's be honest, by instinct, everyone's going to put their life first and screw anyone else.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
Yep.
Okay. And go back to the couple screens forward, where we see, yes. So here we get the first glimpse of Char's custom Zaku, and you can see it's pink, but his custom paint jobs are usually a red motif. Hence his nickname as the Red Comet.
Some pink, red on the shoulders, and on the. Just go on.
And I'm
so Fenrir,
go ahead.
So Fenrir, I gotta ask, would you pilot it?
Who wouldn't want to pilot that?
There we go.
So outside of the red motif, it's important on a technical level to understand that there are slight modifications to Char's suits that typically make them faster and more maneuverable than a normal version of the same suit, because Char has he's displayed faster reflexes, better spatial awareness, and just better piloting instincts. So that's his reward for being an ace pilot, is an upgraded unit. And that's the case throughout most of the series. Okay. If you have no other questions, we will carry on. That's where do we use?
Nope. Good to go.
Yep. Okay. Char's cruiser launches Zaku's for himself and his subordinate. And again, we get the first glimpse of the custom suit that accompanies Char's nickname, the Red Comet. White Base prepares to launch as the wounded soldiers give orders and guidance to their civilian replacements. The Green crew is forced to evade and defend from a missile attack as the two Zaku's rapidly approach. Char, in his custom suit, zeroes in on Amuro in the Gundam, determined to test the suit's capability, as Amuro comes to grips with the realities of combat against an enemy ace. He finds himself quickly flanked by the two machines and outmaneuvered at every turn by Char. After some reinforcement from a core fighter piloted by cadet trainee Ryu Jose, Amuro lands a hit on the slower Zaku, destroying it in a single shot. Char cuts his losses and returns to his ship, just as Amuro expends the last of the beam rifle's ammunition. And if you could highlight Norporeal's, actually, can I do that? Norporeal's latest comment about the Trojan horse. The Trojan horse is actually a nickname. I believe it's the Federation that gives it, but its official designation is White Base. It's WB like 01 or something like that. The Trojan horse is a nickname.
I really think the Trojan. I think Trojan horse would be a better name. I mean, it houses all of them, just like the horse did in the actual story. So would have been a better name.
Yes, and I think that's the comparison that's drawn. But again, its official moniker is the White Base. Similarly, the Gundam's official designation is the RX-78-2 Gundam, but it gains the nickname the White Devil.
Wonder why.
there's a lot of nicknaming of suits and people and other things. Like Char is the
Yeah.
Red Comet.
I mean, have you ever been around a military guy? They literally nickname a lot of things, specifically on jobs. This is very realistic.
Yes.
Ooh,
That is impressive, sir.
I am jealous, Nerdporial.
Is he alive? I'm pretty sure he died.
Oh no, he's still alive.
Is he?
About a month ago, I covered a story where he was saying how Tomino was saying he wanted to come back and like just destroy My Hero Academia. Basically,
Okay.
he's got a passion to him to come
Oh
back.
yeah,
and-
the Gundam. No, not My Hero Academia. My Hero Academia and Demon Slayer. You want to destroy them both.
Oh, okay. He's only 79. All right. I thought he was older for some reason.
Yeah, I'm
it's
just
the
telling
perfect
you guys.
age for
If
him.
you want to meet this guy, go meet him now. Meet your heroes. A lot of them are going down like flies.
Yes. Yeah, I knew about the Berserk creator,
Meet him
but
fast.
I thought this was a story I had read like last year. I was thinking of something completely different. I'm willing to admit that I'm wrong on a lot of occasions. So I'm glad
Oh, we
he's
got
still alive.
Agent Decibel here.
Yes.
Oh yeah, he's been here.
Again, I will repeat that we will defer to the chat for questions and comments, as none of us is a subject matter expert.
So one of the important things I thought to highlight here is the mentioning of Char's accomplishment at the Battle of Loom, which later you'll see in the animated series Gundam: The Origin. And yeah, in the Battle of Loom, he single-handedly destroys 5 battleships.
Yes.
And yes, Ideon is fucked up.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure you get some pretty good glimpses of that later in this series and in other side series, where it's shown how exactly he gains his moniker via using, I believe he bounces off of comets and uses the momentum and sword thrust to gain extra speed and get close to ships and use his mobile suit weaponry to basically take out the bridge and destroy ships efficiently. Yes, Igloo was the one I saw, which is it's not
Okay,
2D,
yeah.
like 3D cell shaded, which is not my favorite kind of animation, but there's a lot of good stories in that. That's another 1 Year War series if you want to go check that out independently, Fenrir.
That one doesn't have any English to it, so it's subtitles.
Yeah.
For you. Not a problem, but I thought it was worth mentioning. Yeah, no, the Char definitely left an impression on his enemies.
And he continues to do so.
Yeah.
Like he's you mentioned it before, Fenrir. He is a very charismatic individual. Between his charisma and his skill, he leaves a legacy that lasts. So much so that he's basically cloned in every series from here on out.
Wait,
Not
they
literally.
cloned him.
No, not
Well,
literally.
no, there's a term
Oh, you
that
mean
came
they
about
take
called
his style? They take his
Yes.
style.
Right. There's a character that is basically the Char of this series.
so much so that the term Char clone became a trope that many other non-Gundam series also copy.
It's usually some ace pilot who pilots a special suit, is often blonde. Is usually an antagonist. It just became a thing. Not that it's a bad thing to copy, but
There's a time and a place to do it.
okay. Do you have any further questions? Because this will be the last segment before we break and just have open conversation with ourselves in the chat.
No, because any question that I have would probably go into the department of spoilers, and I'm pretty sure you guys want to keep me going on the adventure by myself.
Yes, we would like to not jump too far ahead or have meta answers that are spoilers. Sometimes it can't
Okay.
be avoided, but okay.
Okay.
I'll finish up. As Amuro and Cadet Ryu return to the bridge of the White Base, Bright sets course for the moon, warning that Char will likely come after them. Bright impresses upon Amuro that he owns responsibility for and maintenance and operation of the Gundam, despite his protests. The crew of the civilians are now officially in the fight. And that's the end. But we have some very... A large part of the important part here is this battle between Amuro and Char, where it's shown why the two are rivals. And it's, as I alluded to last time, it's Char's natural ability and some slightly upgraded suits versus a super powered prototype and a kid with some latent ability but no actual experience. And Char outclasses him the entire fight. Like every time Amuro goes to line up a shot, Char's no longer there. He gets in behind him and lands direct hits with his machine gun. He gets flanked between the other two Zakus. It's just Amuro gets whooped, and it's simply due to the durability of the Gundam that he's able to survive. Also, the reinforcement of the core fighter by Ryu, who is himself very green. He actually states that he only has about 2 simulation training sets to his name and no actual combat experience. But he's sent out there in an experimental fighter plane to back up the Gundam.
That is either the bravest or the stupidest thing I've ever seen in a show.
It's both. It's necessity. And that's the crux of this episode, right? Is everyone is doing what they need to do out of necessity. They're accruing the ship now because they don't have anyone else. They're using whoever has even the most remote of applicable experience for the role, whether it be flying the white base itself, flying the fighter, manning the guns. It's all whoever's the closest.
Yep. If you can sit up, you're in a gunner seat.
Yes, Bright is in fact the senior officer that isn't wounded, because at this point the commander is still alive and he's issuing orders, but Bright is effectively in control. And he's not very old. I think he said he was 19 last episode. Yep.
So he's really not much older than Amuro and the rest of them. He's maybe about 5 years at most older.
Mm-hmm.
So a kid too.
Yes. Which when you it doesn't look it based on how he's drawn, but once you know that, it puts everything into a much darker perspective, because he now has to take the lives and safety of all of these green people into his hands, command them in battle, get them to the moon under threat of fire, and he's got 6 months on the job, and he's 19. Everyone's in over their head. And if you can get past the campy animation style of the 70s and realize that in a realistic perspective, it's frightening.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it is brutal. It is fairly realistic. And, especially for realizing that the animation here, a lot of this comes out of people who grew up in the wake of World War II. It has a sense of realness that these people were definitely aware of the times. Yes,
and the campy disco music. Again,
dun, dun, dun,
relics of the time. But despite the lack of blood, and I think that's just for syndication reasons and for censorship, you actually get a pretty good view of when the commander takes the blows that will utterly put him out of commission. Like the gun that he's manning gets hit directly and it explodes into shrapnel, and the shrapnel pins him up against the wall. If you freeze frame it, it's surprisingly brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was trying to get it, but I was having some troubles with my technical difficulties.
VLC, yeah.
This show really does not represent war lightly like any other childish show. They literally show everything. Civilians die, soldiers die, necessity, self-sacrifice.
And that was Tomino's original intent. He wanted to show the hellish nature of war, and he did it in as good a way as he could. I think that later series follow in the same vein and do it better. And again, I'm going to plug this because it's my favorite. The 8th MS Team. If you want to see brutal depictions of people getting their ass kicked and dying, that's a good one. That's another Earth-based 0079 series, and the heroes don't get out of it unscathed at all.
Oh no, there's that, and then especially Thunderbolt.
Yeah, I've heard Thunderbolt is brutal too.
Oh yeah, honestly, it's one that you have to kind of really sit back and kind of take into.
0080 is another one that is very character focused, and you grow to become very attached to some of the characters, and then the tragic ending of it kind of rips at your heartstrings a little bit. And I believe the opening scenes of F91 are also brutal.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's a great scene in F91
what kind
where
of tragic end are we talking about? Everyone dies
when you watch it.
Yep.
It's
Oh my, there's
you can watch that independent of this series and not have anything really ruined for you. So if you want to go watch that on your own, you can. It's a short self-contained story in the same time period.
I would wait on that one till a little closer to the end of this series, just because timeline wise.
Yeah, but as far as spoilers for the main series, I don't think it offers anything.
Okay.
Yes, Gundam Star Wars.
Oh, I gotta clip it, but there's a hilarious scene in it where I say hilarious, where you're seeing a woman running with her child in F-91, and one of the shell casings from the Zaku or whatever of F-91, one of the shells hits a woman on the head and just instantly kills her. Boom.
Right, and she's carrying her child. It's so you say it's funny. I say that's exactly the brutal moment I was referencing. It's quick, and it almost doesn't hit you that that's what happened.
Yeah. It's
once you realize what just happened, you're like, oh crap.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff to come, and this is some stuff I'm looking forward to myself. Let's see. So what the next episode's called? What? Vote to Attack?
That's a good question.
I believe so. I took this down in my notes. Yes, it is.
I'll have to print that out. I need to print out that. I need to print out the timeline because I screwed up the timeline so badly last week because I got the production year confused with the chronological year. Which explained why I couldn't remember anything.
So Fenrir, that's been the second episode. What do you think so far? You're definitely hold your interest?
Yeah, it holds my interest. I love its depiction of war. It doesn't treat its audience childly. It actually shows the horrors of it, and it is enjoyable. Specifically, it also shows their characters in a humanistic way, which is something rare in entertainment of today. So I'm obviously going to watch this because, again, I just want good entertainment.
To answer your question there, I think it's likely that they might do Crossbones, considering that they're supposed to be doing the Hathaway movie.
I think that's got a strong enough cult following, yeah. I think it's a popular enough series.
Yeah. People have been basically begging for Crossbones.
Okay, what is Crossbones?
I was just pulling up an image for you.
Crossbone is both the name of a special Gundam and the series in which it occupies. I haven't watched it, or I haven't read it, so I'm not super familiar with it. But oh, okay, that's right. Films.
Seriously, I am literally the rookie of this entire franchise, aren't I?
So this is the Crossbones Gundam.
Okay.
Don't feel too bad. There's a lot of Gundam, and I, having watched a lot of it, haven't watched all of it. So
yeah, I'm in the same boat.
Wow, I can see why it gets its name of Crossbones.
Yeah, I mean, the motif is there.
The wings, the way the wings are put.
Also, look
they
at
kind of give
the forehead.
Yeah, it gives that image.
It was like a pirate series, as far as I understand.
Yeah, I believe the Crossbones is actually smaller in stature than most Gundams. I believe, if I remember correctly.
Man, I wonder how the world would be if Gundams were a thing.
Also, it just looks freaking cool.
Give it a few years, we'll find out. The Japanese will get us there.
They already made a statue that actually moves.
Yes.
Of a Gundam. So yeah.
Yes.
IBO, from what I have seen of it, is really good. That's one I need to jump back into.
IBO has a lot of good points to it. I love the first season. The second season was not as strong, but I loved it. I love the designs. I love the mobile workers. I think that was an excellent addition. A lot of the characters are strong. Others are kind of one-dimensional, but
it's got characters named Biscuit. Yeah.
When you look at the group of protagonists as a whole, it's you can get attached. And like I said, I like the design of Barbatos. I love the design of Gusion, which is there's another Gundam. There's several Gundams, and they're on both sides of the war too, of the conflict in that show. It's unique among Gundam series as far as how it addresses its story. There's a very underdog feel to the whole thing, which is very enjoyable. It's actually one of the things I like most about it is that even when they start to get support, the group of protagonists is largely an underdog in a lot of conflicts, and they still manage to pull out ahead, which is how you do good drama.
Yep, you've got a bunch of kids you got a bunch of kids caught in the middle of a war that are forced to come together.
Mm-hmm.
If they ever have PTSD episodes.
Oh, welcome to Gundam.
Yep, there's a lot of it just in this initial series alone, and you've been shown it more than once already.
Yeah. Amuro's not exactly in the best of in the best shape right now already. He's a bit of a loner who sits in his room and plays with the electronics all day. Had no idea there was any sort of.
Don't forget he kind of lost his
father.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
He was
and probably seeing people.
Father.
Probably seeing numerous people die. Also, people die because he wasn't capable of being there. Yeah, it's gonna kick him a lot of nightmares to a guy. I mean.
Hail, Awake Down.
Hail,
this is just a question. Oh, hail, dude. This is just a question that I give experts. Has there ever been, and this is just a little question, has there ever been a Gundam pilot who, because of PTSD, tried to blow his brains out? Or something similar to that?
I want to say yes, but I can't think of one.
Oh, chances are they'd probably just go wild in the suit and try to hurt others.
Worse things tend to happen to them.
Wow.
Yep.
Can't wait till the telepaths and telekinetics show up in this.
Yep, that's a ways off, so don't worry about any of that.
Yeah, it's far towards the end. Although it does exist, but not to the degree that you're probably inferring. But that's a high-level theme that I can touch on that's not exactly a spoiler. Tomino uses the mechanic that gets explained later on to address what he feels is the inevitable human evolution when we transfer out into space, where we become, and The Expanse touches on this a lot, where we become physically different and our mental capacity for, being able to judge space and time differs.
Yeah, you're basically putting people with mental damage, thanks to war, in charge of powerful weapons. It doesn't tend to end well, and you see this in a couple of the movies, including the most recent one. You see that which that one gets pretty crazy, but again, down the road.
I think one of the common themes, and actually it gets kind of played out of the first series, in my opinion, is that the Gundams the protagonist suits are almost always inexperienced kids. And at least in the first series, it gets explained a little bit. It's not always explained as well. Like, what took me out of it mostly is Zeta and Double Zeta, where there's much less reasoning given to why these kids are basically able to pilot advanced suits, but it just gets kind of hand waved. Whereas here, it's at least explained fairly well from the outset.
Yep. Yeah, it's one of those things you just see over and over again, but it's part of the tropes of the genre of the series.
Yep. Does anyone in the chat have a question you would like answered by the panel? Or a comment you would like addressed by the panel? Now is the time.
Would you like to come to my state, my colony?
This is the time for pickup lines, Ironcaster. Zeta's kind of weird, in my opinion, because you have this weird kind of reversal where the anti-government units have your Gundams and your heroic suits, whereas the governmental forces have modified Zaku's, and it's a good way to show that yes, these are the evil guys and these are the good guys. But then you realize that one's a shadowy Earth Federation unit and the other's like an independent force. I need to rewatch that because I didn't feel as connected to a lot of the characters that met unfortunate ends, and I felt they needed me to be in order for that series to hit home. And I've owed myself a rewatch of it and just haven't done it yet.
Oh, okay. So yeah, Nerdporial's hitting us with a good classic one. Got what's your favorite there, Brightest Day?
So I've already answered this twice now. It's 8th MS Team. It will always be 8th MS Team, both for the Easy 8 itself and the overall story. And I believe I read that the writer of that died, which is probably who I'm thinking of actually, died partway through that series, and it was intended to be longer. But that is a very, very, very solid standout in the series for what's essentially it's like a 10 or 12 episode OVA, I think.
For me, though, I think I'd have to go with 0083, Stardust Memory.
Mm-hmm.
That one I really like, as you know, I and many others have affectionately called it Top Gundam.
Yeah. Well, that's a hot take because a lot of people don't like that one for flaws in the character, but it's
there's a lot of great characterization in it, and the ending isn't quite as good as you would want, but it does its job and helps to tell a story.
Hey, that's not a hot take, Waketown. We're all basically normies here. I mean, Norporeal seems to have more knowledge than the rest of us put together as far as this particular topic goes. But I mean, I've put out the disclaimer: none of us are subject matter experts.
I do think Wing is overrated. It's good. Well, I think the dub is atrocious.
Yeah, a lot of them are.
But that was that 90s dubbing
where most people either learn Japanese or just go to the subs.
I mean, the biggest thing holding Seed back is really the fact that it's just a clear carbon copy of the original series, trying to kind of copy some of the elements of that and bring it to a modern day, more modern day.
Going back to Wing, I think Wing is popular because it was, as Waketown mentioned, was on Toonami. So being the first exposure to something carries a lot of weight in terms of that's the term I'm looking for, nostalgia and sentimental value. But the designs in Wing Gundam, outside of the dragon-headed one, which is kind of a ripoff of G Gundam, which we've talked about before.
Shenlong?
Yeah, Shenlong, thank you. And Nataku is the later one. Nataku is the word I was trying to think of. Yeah, those are iconic designs that just stick in people's memory. So that's obviously going to speak to its staying power over time. Right, yeah, it was Wing and then G Gundam later, I think. Which, I mean, G Gundam was also a lot of people's first because, one, the sheer insanity of it makes it stand out among series.
That's what got this whole thing started. I showed Fenrir a couple of G Gundam designs, and it just become the go to, like, there's really a giant sombrero in space.
Yeah. Every one of those suits and colonies is just a giant stereotype, and it's hilarious. The whole series is just, look how awesome we are.
Yeah, there's a reason I agree with you on that. I mean, they can alter dubs now. They can alter dubs now to be whatever they want. It's just sad.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, come on. Who doesn't want to have a big, football playing, skateboarding, boxing Gundam?
Yeah, it was combination boxer, gunslinger, football player.
So and they made it work. That was the American Gundam, right?
Yes. Yeah, Gundam Maxter.
Yeah,
its shoulder pads were like football player shoulder pads, and they became boxing gloves, and he had like 2 revolvers, I think.
I can't believe that they did not go into the insane Americans full of guns kind of propaganda.
I mean, they basically did. He was a gunslinger.
Just basically make him into a huge Rambo full of all kinds of guns.
The previous one from like one of the previous tournaments was much more a cowboy.
Huh. I always wonder, do Gundams ever try stealth? Because they're huge robots. Does that even work with them?
I mean, define try stealth, like not being seen or heard, because it's kind of hard to do.
Not being seen or heard.
30 meters tall.
Keep at a distance.
I mean, what was it? Death Scythe had a cloaking mechanism in it that kind of helped block it from radar.
I'm sure there are examples of it. It's not the norm. I mean, it's just because of the scale of the thing. Also, again, at least in this particular setting, radar it's a thing, but it's not a thing because it's canceled out by the existence of the Minovsky particle. So you're not so much worried about having like a huge radar signature because it's just not there. All of this is intended to draw the combat closer together into smaller quarters.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of it is based
I'm getting to this is science.
Sight.
and I'm getting this is science fiction. That is, in any moment, in any Gundam show you've seen, there's ever been sign of ulterior life, like beyond humans, just alone in the universe? Because if they're around space, shouldn't there be
It's not
science
it's
or
not
something?
explicitly put out there, but I believe that the existence of, I guess I'll just call it the existence of the new type, which is the new type of human that has evolved to live in space more effectively, is kind of a precursor to us encountering them, but it's not something that's ever touched on. It's mainly a human on human story.
Okay, then
back to that
no
comment.
aliens though. Then no
Uh,
aliens.
What's introduced in Gundam lore Wakedown is the Minovsky particle, Minovski. It's a particle that I believe is used to power some of the fusion reactors in a lot of the things that are being powered.
Okay, how much lore does Gundam have?
A lot.
Oh, they go deep into it.
And it also has the secondary effect of canceling out radar. So it makes radar very almost ineffectual. And you'll see that used in some of the larger scale combats. They'll disperse huge Minovsky particle waves. It's like chaff, basically.
Yep. In fact, I found a blueprint.
Yeah. So I said this when I did my Gundam coverage episode for anime, that there are entire channels devoted to nothing but the Gundam lore and the details that are set out in all the books and lore novels and things like that. There's a lot to go over.
Yes, the Minovsky particle basically became the go-to answer for a lot of the stuff. Like, why can these suits move as fast as they do? Well, because the Minovsky reactors allow them to, frankly, act much better than a lot of the existing technology that was existing.
It's a pseudoscientific MacGuffin.
Yep, it's like the Spice and Dune.
Because you also have beam weaponry, which is again powered by that particle, and it gets copied in later series too. I believe it's Gundam 00 has a version of it, which I forget what it's called, but they have their own particle.
Yep. So at the bottom there, you see it. They hold the particles and they can disperse it.
Yeah. Oh, it's the GN particle in 00.
Mm.
But yeah, it's a catch-all MacGuffin. Again, because and I pointed this out last episode that the real life physics of giant robots just don't work, so they tend to hand wave it. Yes, that is a ferret. He comes around every once in a while. Because giant robots don't work on a realistic scale. You have something that's called the square cube law.
Okay, so in this universe, pretty much all the laws of physics when it comes to the Gundams goes off the window, and how they pretty much would be an impossibility.
Yeah, kind of, sort of. We use they'll use the Minovsky particle to sort of handwave a bit of it away, so they can kind of get away with more stuff.
But there are certain fundamental laws that they kind of have to ignore for the existence of giant robots to work. And it's just kind of a given for not for this, but for the genre as a whole. Like, things above a certain size just can't support their own weight, just based on material strength. It doesn't work. But again, they just kind of hand wave it, and as long as you don't pay attention to it. But then you have it's shown more effectively in, and I love this movie, Pacific Rim, where those robots have a real field of weight and momentum and inertia. And you tell how long it takes for them to get up to speed and to throw a punch, and the weight behind those punches. It's handled very differently in different IPs. That's why a large part of this takes place in space too, where the inertia and the square cube rule doesn't apply as much because you're in zero gravity.
When they do eventually make it to space in this, or make it to Earth in this series, Amuro has to struggle to deal with the real gravity, because I guess on the colonies they didn't have the actual full 1-to-1 scale of gravity to them. That's why they were able to move around a little easier and on the colony.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's one of the things it's not unique to Gundam, but it is talked about. So
So hopefully we haven't scared you off yet, Fenrir.
I actually think we're drawing him in.
Ooh. Ooh.
I
Next he
like
might be doing
deep,
his own.
insane lore, especially if it's I like deep and insane lore, especially if it's technological instead of mystical.
So I'll plug a channel that's not any of us, but is a good resource. Or at least it's the one I like to go to. This is I'll pull it up here in a second. But he's got a channel that does some reviews of kits and a lot of Gundam lore. And that is Kakarot197.
Yep, always a great channel.
That's one of the ones that I follow. I follow a couple.
And he'll get into some of the Gundam seed lore. I think he mostly sticks to the Universal Century, but that's also because it's the one that has the most content to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he goes all over the place. Actually, his latest video from yesterday is really nice because it speaks to the non-mobile suit military units in the series and the role that they play, which is a very nice piece of side lore because those are often underappreciated. Thank you. Yes, again, I'm pretty sure everyone in the chat is subscribed to everyone on the panel, but if you haven't, please do subscribe and share out the link so that others may subscribe. Let's get Ironcaster over 100. I would like to see that.
Hey, I'll
Hey,
have to
get
my
me
own
to 100 too.
Yeah, you're
Get me
close
to
enough. You've
100
already-
too. I'm thinking I'm not gonna make any more videos until I reach the 100.
Jeez.
No,
That's
that's
what I
bad.
have already built
no,
up.
No. If you've already started, you can't stop. YouTube
Shit.
really hates that.
Yep, you're on the treadmill.
You're doing exactly what you need to be doing for his where you are right now. Just pump out short bursts of content that people can consume easily and throw likes. You're doing
Okay,
great.
can I
actually
just
think
scream random? Okay, so I can just scream random shit as long as I want. Then I'm
I
trying to
wouldn't
keep
do
them
that.
short. I'm trying
Make
to
it
keep them
something that
short.
people will watch.
Yeah, that's the most important. It has to be something worthwhile. I can't just record 5 minutes of me in the bathroom.
Yeah, please don't.
Nobody wants to watch that. We'll put it that way.
Okay.
So I think we should probably start wrapping this up then.
I think we're good.
Yep.
How about we start with the rookie?
Yep. Let's blow him up here.
Okay, what are you gonna do?
Oh,
This is your closing.
yeah, this is your chance to try to push for some more.
Okay then. My name is Fenrir the Ice Wolf. I just started making content. Let's come on, get me to the hundreds. I'm already 94. Go to my channel. I have some good rants there. I hope to one day be able to start making videos with literal scenes instead of just a picture and me screaming at stuff. But yeah, I think I'm going through a great path. A lot of good people are commenting on my reviews, giving me some good highlights, and yeah, I hope you guys help too. The Wake Down has been very helpful in these videos. Also, Brightest Day, he's been commented there too. And he does know what I mean by you people. He does know what I mean by that.
I'm just giving you crap, buddy.
So yeah. Peace to all of you, and see you in Valhalla.
Yep. What about you, Brightest? What's the build tomorrow? Finish up the Evangelion?
So the Ava I finished during that stream, and I switched to my friend building whatever she was building at the time. I think she was building the high grade Phoenix. I think that's what she started. Tomorrow, as I just released a short for this, is the Master Grade RB79 PP Polypod Ball, which is a custom ball unit based on a Gundam Builders World Championship winner. So it's basically a ball with like 4 to 6 spindly legs. It's cool. It's a simpler build because most of the kits I have left are larger. So I'm not going to be able to actually break the fourth wall here. I've shown this a couple times, but this is what I have left. And this all the way down here, a lot of these are going to be very hard to build in a single night. So I'm going to start with
Jesus
the smaller
Christ.
ones.
I only have one box to build, and you have all of this.
12, yeah. Hey man, it's been a hobby of mine for a while.
I can barely even think, where the hell am I gonna start?
Start with something cheap. Let me put it to you that way.
Mhm.
Anyway,
No, I mean, how am I even gonna start building it? I mean, I already got the Gundam. thinking about how to start building. Do I put the legs first, or and just go as it goes, or
You follow the instruction manual that comes with it. That's what you do. Anyway, hi, I'm Brightest Day. I do Gunpla build streams on Tuesdays, gaming streams on Thursdays, a good mix of whatever I want in between. And this week, having just passed 100 subs, I was invited by the channel Justin Proper to be on his show on Thursday night, This Week in BS. So follow Justin Proper and keep an eye out on that. I'll be pissing in the big kids pool now. So that should be fun.
All right, back to me then. I, of course, am Ironcaster. I am here to talk about robots anytime. I should probably do some more. I think I'll be delving into some Mega Man. In fact, I just got it working for the PSP version of Mega Man Powered Up. So if you really want to see those little super deformed robot versions, which actually built some add extra story to the game, I'm gonna play that. I'm gonna go get into that, and you can watch me die to a bunch of Robot Masters a lot.
Okay, so we're about to finish the stream, and you're not even showing us Devastator, not even for a second.
Well, the problem with that is space.
I mean, I know it's a
not gonna
different
turn out too
universe
well.
here,
But let's.
I got you covered. I have applicability. Ta-da! It's my favorite Gundam, the Easy 8.
Okay.
And just because, let's see what happens.
That's how we'll close out. I'll just show off a different model every week. All right. That's a thing.
What have they done to you? Oh, good night, everybody.
Good night.
We're gonna go over to Editorials and check out his new video.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Peace.
Yep, I better hit the right button.